Yo, people of YouTube, what's up? This is Charlie again, Vegan Body Transformation. Yeah, so let's just get right into it. I feel like it's been a little bit confusing on this channel. I've mentioned raw food and veganism and vegetarian, blah, 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 all these different kinds of diets, and I don't really think I've specified what I think is the optimal diet. I think on a video I said, you know, eating raw food is like the healthiest, and then on another video I talked about the starch solution, and I might have confused some people, so I just want to, you know, clarify that. In my opinion, see, this kind of comes up because yesterday I actually went with a friend to Walmart and I showed him how to eat vegan. I showed him, like, we went to a Walmart and I went through the entire Walmart and I showed him, like, all these vegan options for everything, like, and he was kind of surprised. He thought going vegan was going to be really hard. He's kind of doing it for the health reason, or not the health reason, but to lose weight. And he kind of thought it was going to be difficult. He thought it was going to be a lot of changes that he didn't really want to make. And I kind of showed him that it's not really that hard to go vegan. And I mean that because going vegan is really easy now because we have so many alternatives for things. There's fake turkey, there's fake meat, there's fake cheese, there's everything. Obviously those things aren't the healthiest because they're refined foods. And by refined foods, I mean there's a lot of junk in there. You know, if you go look on the ingredients, you probably can't read half of it. But it's really easy to go vegan. But yeah, this video is not about that. It's about what I think is the optimal diet. Let's start from the top. A standard American diet. Why do I think that's unhealthy? I think it's unhealthy because of all the science I've read, all the videos I've watched, all the books I've read, all the articles I've read, blah, 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 blah. All of it kind of, you know, tells me that meat and dairy and stuff like that really isn't healthy for you. People can say that meat is really good for protein, really good for, or milk is really good for calcium, eggs have protein, blah, blah, blah. But of course those things have some perks, but you can't ignore the disadvantages of it. You can't ignore the fact that meat has saturated fat, and fat leads to fat. If you eat a lot of fat, you get fat. And obviously that's not, you know, meat's not alone gonna make you fat. I mean, everything in moderation, but like, just basically you can't ignore that there are definite disadvantages of eating meat and dairy and things like that. And I don't think that's disputable. It's the honest truth. There are really big disadvantages. I mean, shit, like your bones deteriorate, it acidifies your blood. Milk is like, it's pus. I mean, I don't want to like gross people out or sound like some crazy vegan, but there's obvious disadvantages to it. So when I started, you know, when I was younger, I ate a standard American diet, and as I learned that there was many things wrong with that kind of diet, I switched to vegetarian. And still in vegetarian, you know, I could eat milk, I could have cheese, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't really get away from all those disadvantages that I kind of wanted to get away from, you know, like the fat and the blood thing and all that kind of stuff. And sorry, I just kind of, earthquake! Yeah, okay, we're back. Yeah, so I went from vegetarian to vegan, and vegan is where I kind of found that there aren't really many disadvantages to the diet. So I want to kind of go through I think that when you hit vegan and raw foodist, and even raw foodist has some down points, but those kind of diets, those are the kind of diets that don't really have any downfalls. You can go wrong, obviously, but it's much harder. Like nowadays, when I say I'm eating unhealthy, I feel bad for eating a bean burrito. It's a bean burrito. A bean burrito was not really that unhealthy. While a long time ago, I used to feel bad for eating a Snickers, and obviously a Snickers is unhealthy. So let's go into some principles, and in my opinion, we'll go through macros. That's a good thing to start. Let's start with protein. Protein, I think you should have protein in your diet. You should obviously get, like for a male, you should get like 30 and above. 30 grams of protein and above, maybe 60, 30 to 60 or more is good. And I say that because of the research. Women, you know, I don't know as much about women's protein needs, but it's probably still around 30, 60 grams of protein a day. And that's not saying that if you're a bodybuilder, you know, you're really going to strive on that amount of protein. That's just saying you can survive on that amount of protein. And it's evident because civilization for thousands of years has survived on that much protein. Bodybuilders aren't like, they're a relatively new thing, you know, in the grand scheme of history. People haven't been consuming a gram of protein per pound of body weight for hundreds and hundreds of years. That's not true. That's a newer thing. People have, though, been living on like the starch-based diet. People have been doing that for a long time, surviving on maybe 30, 60 grams of protein a day. And, excuse me, that's evident. That's true. Carbohydrates. I think that you should not limit carbohydrates in your diet. I think there are obviously better places to get carbohydrates, like Snickers versus a fruit, or versus an apple. Obviously the apple is a healthier version. Everybody knows that. You don't have to argue with people, is an apple healthier than a Snickers? But I mean, just apple is obviously the healthier place to get your carbohydrates. I don't believe in limiting carbohydrates. A lot of bodybuilders and stuff limit carbohydrate, and that's really bad because in our body we have 1 trillion cells, and those cells run on glucose. What is glucose? Glucose is sugar. So if you really start thinking like that, your body literally runs on sugar. So why would you limit carbohydrate in your diet? Why would you take sugar out of your diet? Obviously, healthy sugars, not Snicker sugars. Because, you want to fuel your body. You don't want to cut out things. You don't want to cut out the fuel source in your body. It doesn't make any sense. That's why on a low-carb diet, the Atkins diet, that's why people feel like crap. Is because they don't have any energy. You cut out your energy, that glucose, you cut it out from your body. Makes no sense. Fat. I am a firm believer that fat makes you fat. That's why it's called fat. Steak and meat and things like that, they're higher in fat. Vegan diet is much harder to gain a Nike's load of fat. It's hard to eat a lot of fat on this kind of diet because we don't have things like meat and dairy and eggs and stuff like that. A healthy amount of fat in a diet, I really don't know. I just know that you shouldn't eat a whole ton. I don't know, I could throw up some daily amount of fat you should have, but you could look it up. Just like the 80-10-10 diet, they specify that 10% of your calories should come from fat, and I don't think that the 80-10-10 diet is the perfect diet. It's certainly a super healthy diet, but I think you can have maybe a little more than 10% fat in your diet and you'll be alright. So those are the macros, I think. I think you shouldn't have too much protein, because too much protein usually goes in hand with too much fat and things like that. And people having too much protein, there has been things like if you have I think of kidneys, if you have weak kidneys, a lot of protein can actually hurt you, but that's only, really if you have weak kidneys. So I don't think you should overdo it with protein. I don't think you need like 200-300 grams of protein in your diet daily. I don't think you should probably go over 150-160. A gram of protein per pound of body weight is healthy, if you're a bodybuilder or something like that. But if you're not, you can really get away with 30-60 grams of protein a day. That's going to be fine. You will survive. There's no documented condition for not having enough protein. There's nothing like that. It doesn't exist. Protein, blah, 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 carbs, you don't really have to limit in your diet. Fat, you shouldn't have too much. Let's talk about the way you eat your food, or the temperature in which you eat your food. I am a firm believer, and obviously the whole spiel with raw food is that when you cook it above 104, 140, people have different numbers, it loses some of its nutritional value. And that's true, but there are certain foods, like I said, like in my last video, kale. Kale it reduces cholesterol better when it's steamed. And there's certain foods, that like you wouldn't eat a raw potato. You would cook a potato. Just no one's gonna eat a raw potato. And my point is that raw food is healthy for you. Whole foods are super healthy. Eat as much whole food as you can. That's really good for you. It's not been cooked. It loses none of its nutritional value. But there obviously are some foods that you don't want to eat raw. Per se, if you eat a standard American diet, you definitely don't want to eat raw chicken. You'll get salmonella. You definitely don't want to eat raw fish. Things like that. There's obviously some things that you don't want to just eat raw. We've talked about food a lot, now let's talk about liquids. To me, the healthiest thing to drink is really just water. And if you're going to drink juices, you want to avoid concentrates, because concentrate isn't as good as something that, like if you were going to the store and you get yada yada juice, and you look on there and it says concentrate, and if you look next to it one that says puree, that one puree is actual fruit. It's much healthier. It means that it's not a concentrate. It's not like a concentrated condensed version of the actual food. It is the actual food. That's why people, even vegans and raw foodists, they sometimes eat those naked drinks or the Odwalas. I drink Odwalas a lot. It's because it's the actual fruit. It's still healthy. Obviously, it's probably been pasteurized. Pasteurizing is just heating something up, but it's healthier than the concentrated drinks. In my opinion, I'm going kind of all over the place with this, but to be honest, my idea of the ideal diet is like the starch diet that Dr. McDougall promotes, because he really backs up the idea that, you know, civilization has lived on starches for so long, and you never see fat Asians. I mean, besides sumo wrestlers, you really never see fat Asians. And if you see an Asian in America that's fat, it's probably because they've been Americanized. You know, they're not first generation Asian Americans who, you know, came over from Asia, blah, blah, blah. They've probably lived here a while, and they've, you know, adopted a Western diet. And the Western diet makes people fat. It's evident. That's why America is full of fat people. I've worked with people from different countries, and they're always amazed when they come over here and they see Americans. And one of their things, I'll be like, hey, what's different between, you know, living in Moldova, living in Russia as compared to living in America? And they always say the same thing. They always say people here are really fat. And why is that? Because of our Western diet, obviously. So yeah, just to sum it up, really my opinion of an ideal diet is like the starch solution diet, where most of your calories come from starches, but you also include fruits and vegetables into your diet. I really don't put limitations on fruit and vegetables. Really, I mean, obviously fruit is healthier than meat and stuff like that, but you want, you know, most of your calories to come from maybe starch. You know, second to that would be fruits, and then beyond that would be vegetables. And those starch, fruit, and vegetables, those are all super healthy. You really can't go wrong. That's why a vegan diet is really, it's hard to be unhealthy, you know, because if you're eating starches, fruits, and vegetables all the time, how are you going to get fat? You can't get fat on that unless you're, you know, layering all your rice and like pounds and pounds of, what's that stuff called? What's that stuff called? Soy sauce. If you're like drowning it in soy sauce, you know what I'm saying? But that's my spiel about it. You know, fruits, vegetables, starches. That's my idea of a really healthy diet. Maybe starch the most. You know, you get most of your calories from there. Then fill it up with fruits and vegetables for the rest. That's it. I mean, it's really easy. If you like my opinion of a diet, you should really read The Starch Solution. I've read it, and it's a fantastic book. It's got a bunch of science backing it, and I really think it's the human diet. It's the way we're supposed to eat. Yeah, so I've gone on in this video long enough. I appreciate everybody watching. Like, subscribe, comment. I'll definitely comment back, and probably make a video about your comment if you ask a question. So yeah, everyone, have a good one. Bye.